Foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahawah. Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Harakak, I would also like to give a double honors unto the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone who do rule well that have taught me this truth. And I would also like to say a sincere shalom unto the hopeful elect, unto the scattered elect, unto the brothers, the servants, prophets, the men who are prophesying and laboring in this truth and in this doctrine. Unto you I say shalom. More historical correlations between ancient Rome and America, Babylon. All right, so it shouldn't be a mystery that America is ancient Roman Empire reincarnated in today. All right, and everyone wants to, mystery Babylon is not a mystery anymore. We know that it's America, but all these Christians, all these people that are optimistic about America's future, they still want to act like this ain't the end. This ain't the last kingdom to rule before the kingdom of heaven. All right, and I usually get these emails, and they, I just usually erase them. But this one or this article in this email stuck out to me because of the things of the list. It's a list of 5 correlations. They don't say it's correlations, but you have to see through the spirit of what took place in ancient Rome and what's taking place now. All right, and I'm going to go through the list, but let me start with a scripture, a precept, real quick, because this is Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. There's no new thing under the sun. All right, and everything is repeating itself. Okay, the thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. So the things that we saw, that we witnessed, that we experienced, that we went through in the past, they're happening again. Okay, so let me read a few of these, and I'm gonna I pulled up ChatGPT because we do use ChatGPT to pull up facts sometimes, but we know ChatGPT is also compromised when it comes to certain information, also, especially as it pertains to the scriptures. But I'm gonna use ChatGPT to read and show you the detailed correlation between ancient Rome and Babylon, America. So the first one is, which is, man, wicked as hell. This thing will go. Let me see. No matter where you went, you could always find a public bath. So that's just often so many, facets. A public bath where people were actually naked in these pools. You want to call them that, and that's nothing. That's it's not to the extreme today, but it is because you have these nightclubs where Jake is just goes buck wild. You got these what is it? It's these gymnos, which is a Greek word that comes from naked, where they do pretty much doing the same thing at these various gyms you go to. Okay, it says Romans were masterful architects in public baths called thermae. They were complex facilities with elaborate heating systems where Romans from all walks of life would come along to relax, socialize, and of course get clean. That's something you bathe. That's something that should be private. Okay, but hey, you go to a public pool now, and people are just walking around there naked. Bathing in Rome, Roman thermae wasn't just a simple dip in the water. There was a whole process involved. The visitors would begin by doing light exercise, followed by a hot bath, then a warm bath. This is wicked as hell. All right, they wasn't clothed. Why would you take a bath in public? Okay, steam rooms. That's your modern day gym, massage, all that stuff. All right, that took place back then, and the same thing is going on now, but not to the extreme. Public baths were a central part of Roman culture, and some citizens even considered them a symbol of Roman identity. In fact, baths were such an essential component of daily life that they were built in nearly every part of the Roman Empire, even if its most remote regions. Roman thermae could be found as far as north as British Isles. So, Esau had spread this wickedness, all right, and it probably didn't just start with the Roman Empire. It started probably previous. So Esau was always been a freak, and our people have adopted that mentality. All right, adopted those wicked traits of Esau. Actually, I got a scripture that goes with that. the Proverbs. Because pretty sure if they could have something like that today and profit off of it, they would. They like out here in Vegas, they have these pretty much the same thing with these day clubs where Jake goes out there half naked, and everybody's in the pool and drinking and drunk. That's the same thing. That's the same shit they were doing in the ancient world. All right, in the wicked ancient world of Roman Empire. This is Proverbs 12 and 26. It reads, "The righteous are more excellent than his neighbor." The righteous are the Israelites. All right. But the ways of the wicked seduces them. All right. We were seduced by the ways of Esau. All right. As we saw the wicked prosper, all right, Jake became envious and said, why can they do that and prosper and we can't do it? So Jake began to follow after the ways of the heathen. All right, first and foremost by following after their deities and their gods, and I'm going to get into that also. All right, because that was one of the five commonalities. Well, in my opinion, the five commonalities of ancient Rome and America. All right, so I'm gonna go down to the next one. It says the empire city's wall were filled with graffiti. Archaeological evidence was preserved ancient Roman cities such as Pompeii, Herculaneum reveals that much of the people in modern societies descendants of ancient Rome like to express themselves through some good old-fashioned graffiti. Since the ancient Rome lived a few millennia before the invention of spray paint, they had to make by scratching and carving their designs and messages into plaster surfaces around the city's empire. So I went to Chap and I said, "Is there what the correlations were?" And it said, where is it? There it is. Graffiti in streets. Of course, you see the graffiti. But it says social media as a digital wall, and we know that that's the main outlet for people to do this, to say whatever, to express whatever, through whether it be a picture on Instagram or a message on Twitter, all right, a video on TikTok. That's the three main social media platforms right there where people express themselves, and they just put all kind of matter of wickedness on there. It's a lot of wickedness. It is some information that brothers may use a social media post to bring something out, but a lot of wickedness goes on online. It says platforms like Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok serve a similar function of Roman walls. People post jokes, opinions, complaints, declarations of love, and personal achievements for a public audience. Like Roman graffiti, much of it's informal, humorous, or intended to attract attention. Political expression, and that's a big thing. All right, Roman graffiti often included endorsements, criticism, and campaign messages. Modern Americans express political views through posters, yard signs, bumper stickers, memes, and and social media posts designed for recognition. Many Roman graffiti writers signed their names so they would be remembered. Today, people build online profiles, create content, and seek followers. Back in the Roman Empire, it was all about self gratitude. All right, the same thing today. Everyday voice preserved. Traditional historical records often focus on presidents, celebrities, and other prominent figures. In the future, historians may study social media archives, online forums, street art to understand how ordinary Americans lived, thought, and communicated, much as historians study Rome today. All right, let me see if there's any more info because I might have to go back to Chap. Difference is scale and preeminence. Roman message scratched into the wall. Wall might be seen by 100 of people in the city. Social media posts can be seen by a million. All right, so everything is kind of here in Babylon, it's on a higher level. All right, and if you go back into the Roman history, they were wicked as hell, but this is 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times more wicked than ancient Greece and Babylon. Ancient Greece and Rome were. All right, so let me go back to the list. I want to go, kind of go through swiftly because it can go long. The Roman workday ended at noon. All right. It says Romans didn't have clocks they could use to count the hours of the day. Instead, they kept track of the time using the position of the sun and employed devices such as sundials to divide the day into 12 evenly spaced units called hora or hours. All right, since tracking the sun was a Roman citizen's principal timekeeping method, the workday was structured around solar positions that were easy to measure with the naked eye, such as sunrise, noon, and sunset. And that goes back to the Hebrews calendar, where the Romans used the 8-week calendar, but we use the sun, the moon cycles to measure our months and know when high holy days were. Or that's in the scriptures, but the Romans were completely off. So they would basically work um, from sun up, all right, to basically the high of the day, all right. Which, if you depending on the season, it would be either 7.5 hours, or in the winter times, it would be around 4 hours. So you had a lot of idle time amongst these Romans, and what did they do with that idle time? All right, a lot of them they went to these baths or public baths. They, a lot of bullshit, a lot of debauchery. All right, and um, if you look at comparison to ancient Rome, ancient Sodom and Gomorrah, that was one of the sins of ancient Sodom and Gomorrah, idleness and fullness of bread. So you think they were just sitting back, just everyone went home and handled their business, and nah, these people were. And the next one is going to go into how they gambled on everything, and that's a great facet in today's in Babylon today, where you can gamble. Before you couldn't really gamble online; they just had offshore. You had to have not an offshore, but gambling was more in the UK, in European nations where you could gamble online. Now that shit is everywhere. Before on ESPN, the ticker at the bottom, they show the odds and everything. But I'm gonna go to that. Let me get the scripture for this point about about how they were idle in Rome, similar to Sodom and Gomorrah. This is Ezekiel 16 and 49, and we know what happened to ancient Sodom and Gomorrah. It was destroyed. All right, behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom, pride, fullness of bread. All right, that's gluttony, and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and the needy. And this wasn't a custom of the Israelites, okay? Because we had regular work days, but when it got to a certain part of the day, we didn't stop working, okay? So you're telling me that if we got fields to tend to, we have crops to tend to, and fruit to pick, or when noontime comes, we're just going to stop? Like, no, we had our customs were structured, all right, but Esau's customs are basically it taught people to be idle. It taught people to as it says here in what is this? Reminds me of Wisdom of Solomon, the second chapter, where it says, let me see. Nah, you can't be serious. They messing with the Apocrypha now online. Let me try this one. Let me see. Wisdom of Solomon. I guess they are. Let me go to the, if anything, I'm going to just pull it up on my phone. Let me try this one. All right, let's see. Go from here. Wisdom 2. Here it is. For the ungodly said, reasoning within themselves, but not all right. Our life is short and tedious. In the death of a man, there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. So that's that YOLO spirit, all right. They these devils in ancient, they didn't have they were about partying. They were about living life in abundance. When we were born at all adventure, we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, as a little spark in the moving of our heart, thinking that we got one life to live, let's just live it up. Like, no, you what you do in this life affects what happens in the life after. Okay? It says, which being extinguished, our bodies shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall be vanished as the soft air. And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is as a very shadow passes away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. Saying that, oh, after this life, yeah, this is the only life I got to live. I might as well go all out and do this and do that, and basically, there's the same spirit that Esau is pushing now amongst this youth. All right, where these niggas is just bugging out. They don't care about nothing. They don't care about no consequences of their actions. All right, it says, let us fill ourselves with costly wine, the partying and bullshitting. All right, and America is all about that. All right, bread and circus. All right, wine, ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass us by. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Did I skip a verse? Yeah, I skipped verse 6. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass us by. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Let none of us go without his part of this voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion, and our lot is this. All right. So let me go back to the list I had here about the work. It says, since tracking of the sun was a Roman citizen's principal timekeeping method, the workday was structured around the solar position that were easy to measure with the naked eye, such as sunrise. Okay, I read that. This left the rest of the afternoon open for leisure, and citizens from all levels of Rome society would spend that time attending sporting events, theatrical performances, and the all-important public baths. It was just about pleasure. All right, the same thing that America pushes, just pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. No work. All right, no righteousness, no discipline, just pleasure. All right. Let me go down to the list now. Romans people love to gamble. Love to gamble extended at all levels of ancient Roman society. And gambling is what it does is it when everyone's into football, basketball, all this sports and all this bullshit. What it does is it intensifies the game when you got money on it. Okay, and you can see if you ever be out here in the casinos and see someone lose a bunch of money, they go crazy. All right, you see the people's emotions go up and down from just watching a damn game that's meaningless. When the Knicks or the Spurs, whoever wins the championship, when they win, what are they going to talk about? Who all next year? It's just a cycle of folly, and they giving you the option now. All right, with what's that shit called? DraftKings and all these various different apps you can bet on. You could bet on anything now. You could bet on how many rebounds and who gonna sing the national anthem. It's like there's so much folly out there that keeps our people distracted. All right, so I'm pretty sure the same thing was going on in the ancient world. You could bet on chariot fights, gladiator fighting. They the same thing with the whole UFC thing, boxing. It says less wealthy citizens would place bets on a wide variety of board games and dice games. Hey, Vegas, Atlantic City. But you got all these Indian reservation casinos. You got casinos all over Babylon, which they played in taverns, city streets, and other public places where the rich would build private gaming rooms in their homes. Romans, that's like your poker games. All right, people would hold. Romans would also frequently bet on the outcomes of gladiator fights, chariot races. And I was watching this. I forgot the name of the series, but the people, it was a series placed in ancient Rome, and the people were hold on, Slack. Let me do something real quick. Okay, and the people were, rioting or beginning to riot because I forgot. I think the show was a series called Ready to Die, but it was based in the ancient Roman Empire, and the people were rioting because of a famine. Okay, lack of food, shortage of food, and in the series it shows you they just played the trumpet, and the sound of a certain sound from a trumpet. We know this in the ancient world signified various things, whether it be an enemy coming in, whether it be a feast day, and in this instance it was a chariot race, and everyone stopped rioting because of they didn't have any food or the scarcity of food or famine, and everyone went to the Colosseum or wherever the chariot race was being was being performed. Okay, and they all forgot all about it. Same thing today. All right, people forget all about. Let a big fight come up. All right, where this nigga Floyd's coming back and he's fighting Pacquiao, and you got all these. Say John Jones comes back and he fights whoever the champion is, and hey, people are gonna be fixated on that screen on Saturday night or whenever the fight is. All right, they're gonna forget about their bills, their responsibilities, hey, that their food shortages and they ain't ate, because in the ancient world what they would do is they would feed the people at these chariot race and gladiator fights. All right, so you got a full stomach. You done forgot about your struggles in real life. The same thing today. Okay, you watch tomorrow. Come Saturday, 5:30. All right. Hey, everybody gonna be glued to the TV. Everybody in New York. Everybody in San Antonio. Everybody in New York. Everybody damn near everyone that's a fan of basketball is gonna be glued to the TV, seeing if the Knicks can pull it off. All right. While Esau is making moves while this war is going on the other side of the planet. Okay, people is glued to the TV for this bullshit. Okay. But it's the same thing they did in ancient Rome. Okay, the empire was falling, and what are people's attention on? Chariot fights, gladiator fights, whatever's going on in the Colosseum. All right, for the most part, men were permitted to. For the most part, only men were permitted to gamble, though women were allowed to participate in games of chance during special festivals. Even the Roman emperors got into the action. So you got to believe that just how games and stuff were fixed now, they were fixing it back in the ancient world. Okay, it's nothing new under the sun. All right. Let me see. What's the next one? I think it goes into the I'll say Agora. Yep, the Roman Forum was a center of public life, and you could correlate this to your downtown area. All right, where all the commerce, all the commerce and business is usually handled in every major city in here in Babylon. All right, you think of downtown New York. All right, it's you got Wall Street, you got all various businesses that downtown LA, downtown Dallas, downtown wherever is where the majority of the business is held. The courts are usually in downtown. Okay, the city hall is usually downtown. There's shops in downtown. Same thing. It says Roman Forum was a center of public life. Salakia, with its location right in the middle of the city, the Roman Forum was quite literally the center of everyday life in ancient times. It was where the typical Roman citizens could shop, talk, and find entertainment. It was also the site of most of the city's public gatherings, the Roman courts of law, and the meeting places in the Roman Senate. Excuse me. Most more, the Forum housed some of Rome's most important religious sites, including multiple temples dedicated to Roman deities. In other words, like DC has all these obelisks and all that stuff. That's the same thing. Or that obelisk actually comes from ancient Egypt. Okay. It's just including multiple temples dedicated. Okay, I read that. If you were a Roman citizen, the chances were you were good that you'd be making frequent visits to the Forum for everything for your daily errands and to grand citywide ceremonies. All right, and this next one is a major one. This is the last one, actually. Yeah, it's a major one because we see this. You can't say you don't see this. You can't say you don't see the correlation. There was a temple where citizens go to worship Caesar. One of the prominent temples in Roman Forum was dedicated not to the worship of a mythical god, but to the former director of Rome, Julius Caesar. During the funeral games held in Caesar's honor shortly after his assassination in 44 BCE, a comet appeared in the sky for 7 days, which the Roman populace interpreted as a divine omen that Caesar's soul had ascended to the statue of divinity. This popular belief that Caesar had become a god was confined into law 2 years later in 42 BCE, when the Roman Senate officially declared him a deity. After this, the temple was built in the Forum in Caesar's honor. It even had an altar where Roman citizens would offer sacrifice to their deified leader, just as they would to supernatural gods such as Jupiter and Saturn. It says there were temples. What is the modern day temple? Your church house. And what are they worshiping in there? Serapis Christus, false gods and deities. All right. What do you think they're worshiping in the Jewish synagogues? Satan. All right. If put like this, if you're not worshiping Yahawashi, you're worshiping the devil. Okay, pretty much. Because all that energy, all that power, all that effort you put into that deity, that God, it goes to Satan. It's not going to the Creator. It ain't going to the Yahawashi. It's not going to the Lord, all right, that made heaven and earth, all right, that has the ability to give life and take it away. All right, they were doing the same thing. All right, and they said these temples were everywhere. And everywhere you look, especially in J community, it's a goddamn church. All right, with Serapis Christus, all right, Cesare Borgia, not Serapis Christus, yeah, Cesare Borgia on the wall, hanging, long stringy hair, with that image of that Edomite false image of the Messiah, whose name is Yahawashi. Okay, and you got to think in ancient Rome, in those temples, you got to believe that there were statues erected of Julius Caesar. Okay, the same thing people do. People go up to the statues of Cesare Borgia and touch it and kiss it and all that. This is nothing but a deity. Same thing. No new thing under the sun. Okay, and a lot of our people, you could tell them this information, you can bring this information out, but their minds are still stuck here in Babylon. All right, they can't break the curse that is that curse of blindness that the Heavenly Father has put on them, because they don't see it. All right. Let me see. Damn. Oh, let me go. Let me see. I have some precepts. Let me grab this. Let me go to Revelations. Actually, I'm going to Daniel too. Revelations 13 to show you that this is the. This not show you, but this is more just evidence. Revelations. Let me see something real quick. All right. Revelations 13. I'm going to go to verse 11. The beast from the earth, and beheld, another beast came out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. All right. That 2 horns like a lamb represents the ancient the plebeians and the patricians. The patricians would be your modern day Republicans, and the plebeians would be your modern day Democrats. That's the bipartisan system. Okay, that stemmed from ancient Rome, that is back today. Okay, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and he called it the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose his deadly wound was healed. All right, and that deadly wound was healed when Esau came back into power. When this same ancient Roman Empire came back into power, in the late 1300s, 1400s. Okay, but that deadly wound was when Esau was taken out of power. All right, when the ancient Roman Empire fell. Okay, and he goeth and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down out of heaven and on earth in the sight of men. It's like, let me see some shit. Okay, in the sight of men, and that was when they dropped Hiroshima and Nagasaki on Japan during World War II. All right, and let me go from there because I spoke on the deceiving the world, deceiving the nations. Not deceiving, but the deadly wound that had been healed. So this is get more context of that. And let's see. Yeah, I'll start at verse 1. Revelation 20 and 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and the great chain in his hand. And he laid hold of the dragon, the Roman Empire, that old serpent, which is called the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Bound him, he was taken out of power, all right, the Roman Empire. And cast him into the bottomless pit, which is bottomless pit is speaking of Europe, and shut him up, and he set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled and after that he may be loosed a little season. And we're in that little season where he has sprouted back up, and he's in his power right now. Okay, and he's going to that beast is going to basically it's reincarnated in your modern day America. Okay, and the same shit is going on. Okay, just like Rome fell because they spread their military thin, the same thing Esau's doing right now. Okay, damn, I had another list where it said the reasons that Rome fell, but I just wanted to let me see. I just wanted to, I saw that, and I wanted to bring some precepts out of them. I got one more. Let me see. Oh yeah, I should have read that precept earlier. Um, but yeah, the evidence is there, man. If you got eyes to see, the Lord gave you eyes to see, and you can see the clear correlation between these two empires. All right, it's there, and and this is the end of the extension of the Roman Empire we're living in. All right, so this is Micah 2:10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you with a sore destruction. All right, this is not our rest. All right, this ain't the end. America is not the end all be all. Like Rome wasn't the end all be all. All right, for our people, they thought Rome was it. Rome was the strongest. America's not the end all be all. This ain't our rest. This is not where we're supposed to, relax and build. Okay, we have the kingdom of heaven to look forward to. All right, where we're going to be righteous forever. Where we don't, where we're going to be righteous. We're going to live in a righteous society. We won't have to deal with the wickedness that goes on. We won't have to see wickedness. We'll be able to judge wickedness. Okay, because with all the wickedness that goes on in Babylon, even in ancient Rome, we weren't the judges. We weren't in charge. All right, the Roman emperors, they were in charge. They were the ones that executed judgment. Just like Esau is in charge today through their judicial system where they execute judgment. Okay, I got one last scripture I want to grab. Hebrews 13 and 13 or 12. Let me see. Yeah, 14, 13 and 14. For here we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. Okay, we're seeking the kingdom of heaven. We're hastening for the kingdom of heaven. Okay, where America, Babylon, all right, you call this New Rome, all right, is going to fall. It's not forever. The kingdom of heaven is forever, and that's what we're seeking for. All right, and we see how Rome fell, and America's going to fall even harder than Rome did. All right. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the hopeful elect, and I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Harakak, Shalom.